Welcome back to the Leadership Conversation series. I'm Coach Adaora, and today we're asking a bigger question than usual. Can coaching as a profession really move society forward? Coaching is often framed as a tool for individual growth, one leader, one conversation, one breakthrough at a time. That's valuable, but it's also a fairly small frame. So today we're asking whether this profession has any real capacity to shift outcomes beyond the individual client and what it would take to get there. And so I'm really excited today because our guest is a very special guest. Coach Nafisah, it's such a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure being here too, Coach. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So, Coach Nafisah, before we get into it, I'd love to give you a moment to tell our audience who are joining us from all over the world a little bit about yourself.
Nafisah Muhammad Buba, or Coach Nafs, as I'm called. I think I'll just focus on what led me to coaching. I've been in the corporate for a couple of decades, about 25 years or so, and all my life it's been, I've been sort of the go-to person for whatever issue that people wanted to resolve. So I did coaching without realizing that this is what I was doing, and decided to venture into it formally about 6-7 years ago. I'm trained now. I'm an ICF certified coach, and I've done the ACC, and I'm working towards my PCC. That's it.
Huge congratulations, and thank you for sharing that really inspiring background. Coach Nafs, let's start with the big, honest question. Do you genuinely believe that coaching as a profession can move the needle on anything beyond an individual client's career?
Honestly, Coach Adaora, I do. You know that statement of when you raise or educate a woman, you're educating society.
Yes.
I honestly see that as a huge analogy for coaching. Every individual lives within a community, within a system. No individual is an island. We all have family members. We all work within organizations. We work with people all over. So everything that we are as individual, we actually do impact the larger community or the larger society. So I would say yes. If you're coached the right way, even if your focus is on being coached professionally, you do always have a positive impact on those around you. It has a trickle effect.
Thank you for sharing that. And I really like the metaphor you used, actually. Very apt. So it can be considered to be a bold claim, yeah? And even ICF aligns with what you've said. ICF, the vision is a world where coaching empowers people and societies to thrive. So let's try and ground that in something real. So I'd like to know, Coach Nafs, can you just share an example from your own work where coaching created a ripple effect beyond the person that was sitting across from you?
Okay, so I'm thinking of so many now, right? So I'll just maybe focus on the idea because I've seen this repeated in so many different ways. I've had clients where they came in as executive leaders, being coached within their professional space, and insights that they had regarding how they communicated, regarding how they interacted with their team members, got transferred not just to those that report to them, so that their supervisors were able to sort of replicate what they were learning from them to even more junior staff. But you see that even affecting their family home. So if it's a man, you hear him saying he is communicating differently with his spouse, he's communicating differently with his children. You hear the children giving him feedback, and he comes to say it in the coaching session. Daddy, you listened to me more. Daddy, I observed ABC. That's coaching. So he came in as an executive, focused on how to be a better leader to his team, but here he is affecting not just the team members, but also his family members. That's how coaching works. And that's the impact it can have if it's done right.
Profound. Thank you for sharing that, Coach Nafs. I can truly relate. And I understand, of course, as you said, with coaching, you've got to keep and respect client confidentiality. So thank you for sharing that. So what would you then say needs to be true for this to happen more often?
I think three things. I think first is that we have to look as coaches beyond focusing on fixing or correcting performance, right? We need to look towards developing responsibility, if I can call it that. So we don't want leaders or more leaders. We want better leaders. We want leaders that are responsible, that actually take ownership of whatever spaces that they find themselves in. So that's one. The second is that we need to look at we need to, so beyond maybe just saying things, we need to look at specifics. We need to be able to find a way to translate the coaching or the insights that come from coaching into policies, into our educational system, into the very fabric or frameworks that build or guide our organizations. Because until they become standards, you're really just looking at one individual, or in fact, it's just that one individual thinking something or believing something. But when it becomes standards, then you're looking at the entire community, be it an organization or even a nation. So there's a need to actually move from that individual understanding to actually making it more of a standard, policies that sort of will move things better. The third is that the coach himself or herself needs to continually develop. I find that if I don't grow as a coach, I'm just not able to support whoever I coach. So there's a need for coaches themselves to understand that learning is something they have to go through and continually do to be able to impact society correctly.
Coach Nafs, I truly appreciate you sharing those really practical approaches. So definitely standardization, making it systemic, and even the piece around continuous learning and development for coaches themselves. It aligns with the competencies expected of coaches by the ICF.
Coaches, yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
thank you for just really stating those three key approaches. So, this has been a really expansive conversation, Coach Nafisah. But before we wrap up, I want you to leave our audience with one thought, one powerful thought. So, in one sentence, what is coaching actually for beyond helping one person at a time? If you were to bring all the richness that you said into one sentence, what would that be?
Okay. Coach, quickly before I say the sentence that I have in mind, it's just going back to that metaphor that I use. I honestly see coaching as planting of trees. You plant a tree and the shade is used by a coach and to coach somebody, and that person can use that same shade for another one. It goes like that. It has that ripple effect. So one sentence for me is that coaching is about impacting humanity. It's as big as that. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it truly is that. It's about positively impacting humanity. It's not one person.
That is huge. Positively impacting humanity.
Humanity. That's right.
Thank you so much for that, Coach Nafisah. Thank you so much for sharing so freely with us. Thank you for bringing your whole self to this conversation. And, this has been very useful. Just listening to you share with us today. So for anyone who's wondered whether this work matters beyond the individual client, you've heard Coach Nafs. You've heard about the metaphor, about the tree, and what coaching truly is. So if this has stretched you to think about coaching's purpose, please share this with someone in this profession or someone who's aspiring to come into this profession. So until next time, this has been the Coaching Conversation series from us at EZ37 Solutions. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again, Coach Nafs.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Coach.